Hello, all you hardcores out there. Russ here from Porky's Corner, and still the biggest gob in sport. We're just waiting for Terry to log on. Here he is.
Guess
Uh,
who's back?
yeah, we're back. So, all in all, Terry, you were happy with the value of the show, and
20 quid, mate. 20 quid. That's value. That's the first time I've said a pay-per-view was value.
yeah, a few people have commented sticking it to the show, but for what we've been served up,
Wait,
it's
wait, why are they sticking it to? About what?
I know because there were no knockouts. I think. Do you know what I mean?
About who? Wait. Who's not happy?
They were all even fights, weren't they? All evenly matched. So it's what we've always wanted, isn't it? Really. So
Whoever complained about Saturday night, get out the sport. Just get lost, mate. We don't want you
there's
because you'll
people that
never
just
be
want to go
happy.
against what I say, innit? But they keep watching.
Yeah, look, if Saturday night did not make you happy, boxing will never make you happy. Just roll out the sport, mate. Like just go
Yeah.
and do something else. Go and play golf.
Go smoke a spliff and take a bird out and slap her ass. That's what I say.
I don't think they get that opportunity, mate.
I do. Okay. The undercard, Terry.
Mm.
The undercard. Uh, Willem Smith against that Brandon Glanton or Glanton or however you spell it. What did you make of that?
I just thought it was a weird fight because Chris Billum Smith is leagues above Glanton in terms of pedigree. Glanton's tough enough, but he's not very good.
These like American fighters. Were he a Philly fighter or most? I can't remember where he were from.
I
Uh,
don't know.
Whenever
He's
there's
just
a Philly fighter on, the old Adam Smith always says, and he's from Philly. Well, he was an American anyway, wherever he's from. I thought he'd give it his best, but it was very limited, wasn't
yeah. He just Chris Billum Smith. Whatever you want to say about Chris, like Chris will give anyone at world level a tough night. Glanton's not world level.
he? No, no. Did you enjoy that fight? Then it was a bit of a chess game, wasn't it? Really?
Yeah, until the latter rounds, and then you could see like with Chris age is kicking in now, so then he had to kind of dog it out a bit more. But just just a transaction fight for Chris, just a bit of holiday money.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Anthony Yard. Now he's 34 next birthday. Lyndon Arthur. What did you think to that fight, Terry?
Fight that didn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
Just there was no point of that fight. They just kind of picked two names that they thought would get the public excited. I think the public have kind of moved past Anthony Yard now.
I do. I think he's missed boat, hasn't he, really, Yard?
Yeah, I think that whole with free agents thing basically derailed his career at the wrong time.
Yeah, he took bad advice from whoever. It looks like lion bars in the fridge has been giving him too much advice and got into his head and he's made wrong turnings and he looks, I don't know what to make of it. He looks to me like he's, like I've just said, he's missed the train, hasn't
Yeah, I just look at that and go, what does he do next?
he? Does he beat Callum Smith? I don't think he does.
Not that version, no.
I don't think he beats old face like a bag of spanners. So, well, the next one. Ladies and gentlemen, the Smiths, the Beatles of boxing. What did you make of Beefy Smith? I had McKenna to beat him because I said he'd have too much vigor for him. He's 20-0 now. Uh, he looked like a shot fighter, didn't he, basically?
Look like he just showed up for a payday.
Well, they didn't get that much, did they?
No idea, but I don't want to see Liam Smith on TV again. He can go and fight wherever he wants. I can't tell a man to retire,
Yeah.
but rather not see him on my screen again. He's bed blocking at this point. Like let the new generation come through.
What about his trainer? Go to Joe McAnally and Swifty Smith, the next big thing in trainers. Where they were silent in the corner, weren't they? And Smigger's titties were in corner as well. What happened at Big Joe said, Dad? What were they saying to him? Because it looked silent, didn't it?
But what are you going to tell Liam Smith when you're Joe McAnally? You're barely a year older than him. Do you know what I mean? But no, in real terms, like they were amateurs together.
He's a
So like,
cheerleader, that Joe McAnally, and I mean,
yeah,
it all leaves a bad taste in my mouth. How Smith's all shit on Joe G because Eddie was saying, "Oh, if you want to go on Sky, you've got to get rid of Joe G." But Smith, look, I mean, he had grey hair when he was 12. Let's have it right. But Smith looked an old man, and statistics, as we both know, over his last 6 fights, throwing less, taking rounds off, holding more. He's just gone from bad to worse. I know he stopped Eubank, didn't he? But Eubank had weight issues, didn't he? After the first Ben fight got
yeah.
cancelled, Pusher Ben. But he just looked like a shot fighter that ran out of idea. He reminded me of Space Raider Ed. Do you know Josh Warrington? He reminded me of him. He was hanging around like a bad smell, and there's too many of them hanging around now in boxing because now there's this glimmer of hope of them all getting that one more payday. Derek, Dillian, Warrington, Joshua, Fury, Anthony Yard, all of them are just hanging around. And there's a problem here because they're not letting these next generation of kids come through, are they?
But well, what I'd like to see, and we saw it with McKenna, let the young boys at these guys. Do you know what I mean? Let Itama fight Dillian. Like, that's the way we get rid of these guys. But they've got too much stroke right now. So I'd like Turkey to say, listen, there's some of these old guys that we've got to see if they've really got it. Whack Dillian in with the Moses Itama. Let's see what he's got.
Yeah, they don't want to fight him, do they? They all want easy paydays, don't they? But I'm starting to wonder what's going on with Dillian Whyte because he's signed with Bricktop, hasn't he? But he's parked up. He's parked up, isn't he, White?
He'll get a Coley.
Well, listen, this is what we need because is saying he's coming for them all. Joshua,
whatever.
And he's going to make a statement. Well, there's Lawrence Okolie there, but they don't want that fight, do they? If you beat Lawrence Okolie, the WBC #1 ranked guy, you're in the mix, aren't you, Terry?
I just, you know me, I think Huey's like Anthony Yard right now. Like, the boat's gone.
Yeah. But
he's not young enough to be a prospect, and he hasn't achieved enough to be a veteran we want to see.
Huey's only 30.
Yeah, but what's he really achieved at 30 apart from bankrupting Hennessy?
He beat Sexton for British, knocked him out.
Whoop-de-doo.
I know. It's a shame, innit? No? Do you think, what other fighters do you think, Terry, are hanging around like bad smells, open for the big phone call from Triple T? What do you think?
God. You said Warrington, didn't you?
Oh, God. Well, Warrington's throwing left. He's throwing 30%. He's throwing 30% of the punches that he was throwing 5 years ago. Admiring his work, taking rounds off, going missing, holding on for dear life. His stepdad, Bagpuss, used to squeal like a pig when people, he's holding our Josh. They're all hanging on our Josh. Well, Josh is doing the same thing now, isn't he? He's showing all signs of a shot fighter. But why are these people around these fighters not saying, look, you've not got it no more, lad? Nobody's telling them. They're the last one to know because they got people in their ear holes and up their arseholes. Not telling them, are they? They're just saying, yeah, you've still got it, kid. He ain't got it no more, Warrington.
No. When you're an all-action guy like Warrington, you age quickly. He's aged quickly.
Yeah, a bit like Crusher Ben, he'll age, won't he, with how his style is.
But he hasn't really accumulated miles yet, has he?
His old man were gone at 31, though, wasn't he? 31/32.
But Nigel had miles on him.
David A burnt out quick, didn't he, like Mike Tyson?
Yeah, miles. Like, when you're all-action like that, you gotta manage your training load properly. Most coaches don't know how to train for that. Don't coach for longevity, unfortunately. Which is why this country's a mess, amongst other things.
Vidal Riley against Shevon Clark. What did you make of that? And Vidal Riley, he looks like he's got everything, doesn't he?
I've always thought Vidal's class, like, from when he was boxing as a junior, like 10, 11 years ago. I think Vidal Riley's class, think he can really box. I remember getting into an argument with your pal, Russ Gerard, and I kept trying to say to Russ,
give me a ring. Email me.
Nah, all right.
Are you still mates with Russ?
No, I remember he sent me those bitchy text messages.
Oh, Russ, don't be like that. He's all right. Russ came up to the studio to see me. We had a couple of
Nah,
drinks.
nah, but Joe, he wasn't even man enough to say, do you know what, mate? I was a bit emotional, a bit upset. Sorry about that. And I would have been all right with him. Do you know what I mean? I get it. But he tried to delete the messages like I wasn't going to screen grab them. Do you know what I mean? Like delete them like they didn't happen. So I don't respect that. Like as a man, stand by your word. You wrote it all in capital letters as well. So that I know you meant it. But I've always been a Vidal Riley fan. All I ever said was he shouldn't make his career about calling out Isaac Chamberlain. He should build his own career, which he's now doing. And in doing that, the Chamberlain fight will come to him. I think Vidal Riley is one of those guys who, because he's boxed up the weights, he knows how to combination punch. He knows how to time opponents. He knows how to counter. He's really, really skilled for a cruiserweight. And that's going to be a nightmare for a lot of people.
He gave Dillian Whyte a good scene too at Loughborough and didn't get paid his sparring money. Vidal Riley, I heard on the grapevine.
Boxers generally don't get paid for sparring.
Well,
unless you're in a proper operation. Like if you're in a proper operation, then you get like a little per diem and some accommodation. But like, especially if you live in the same country.
Froch used to pay him.
Groves used to pay.
Froch did. Clinton used to pay him. So not everybody gets paid though for sparring. Sometimes you do it to get the experience, don't you?
But the sparring that gets you, so there's sort of two different kinds of sparring. There's the conditioning sparring, which is like help me get my eye in, help me get fit. And then there's like what I call fight specific sparring, where you've got to take the guy into deep water. Like, all right, this is what's getting you ready to win. That's what you should be paying for.
Brock used to fly Alan Green over, pay him money and all his expenses, hotels and lot. Pascal, he'd been over.
Never flew you over.
Hey, I'd do all them, wouldn't I? Virgil Hunter trained Amir Khan. They never won a title. Angulo, Boazzi, and Clark. They all got beat on his watch. Is he dining out on the Andre Ward CV too much, or?
So, you know my
is he another Buddy McGirt, a mercenary?
No, I think it's different. That Buddy's worked with people who have done well. But if you look at Virgil, he had Andre for like, I mean, he had him for like a decade before he won the Olympics, right? Mm. Like you give me a kid for 10 years, like I'd like to feel we'd win something as amateurs. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like we should. And then he had him he had him his whole career, you know. And when you've got good raw materials like Andre Ward, you're supposed to win something with that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And now we're seeing what happens when he hasn't got perfect raw materials and he hasn't got 20 years to work with someone. Those methods don't work.
Yeah.
You know, and boxers have to learn this. Because someone's got a name doesn't mean it's going to work for you. Do you know what I mean? If you don't understand, like, you know where you are in your career, you're either in the learning phase or a fixing phase. If you're in a learning phase, you want a coach that can teach you. If you're in a fixing phase, you want a coach that can fix you. Like Freddie Roach can fix you. Okay? He might not be able to build you, but he'll fix you. Ronnie Shields will build you. He might not be able to fix you, but he can build you. Do you see what I mean? People don't understand these things. It's very important to know what kind of trainer you're dealing with.
Okay. Turkey and Bricktop, is the intense beef there? Have they gone the separate ways? What's going on there, Terry? Seating arrangements, there were a bit of a complaint from Queensbury, I'm hearing.
Well, it wasn't their show.
Well, I mean, do you think that it's not as rosy as it was 6 months ago between them?
So I can give you my Porky Russ theory on this.
Go on then.
So this was a boxer show, wasn't it? A boxer Matchroom co-pro, right? Yeah. Why would they give Frank a prime seat? They have to give Turkey one because Turkey's putting some money up. But why would they give Frank a prime seat? They wouldn't. So I can see why Frank would be annoyed. But Ben Shalom's not sitting front row at a Queensbury show. Do you know what I mean? He's just not.
Oh, yeah.
And so I think that's what I think is. I don't think Turkey's too strategic to alienate Frank, seeing as Frank's got the stable right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're not going to alienate Frank. My worry is more Hearn. That's my worry. Like, what happens? Because now that Connor's had that beating, what's he got left?
Well, Joshua's finished. Crusher Ben's been exposed. Katie Taylor's goose was cooked. In the UK, I know he's got Bam Bam Rodriguez, OPT, and they're supposed to be top 10 pound for pound, aren't they? But as regards the UK, he's pretty threadbare, Eddie, isn't he, really?
Yeah, and they're trying to flog Matchroom from what I'm hearing as well.
Cashing out, aren't they? Because there's no big boxing stars out there for Matchroom now. I mean, they made a big play for Ben Whittaker, but I think Ben Whittaker, after the first Liam Cameron fight, they went quiet on him, and I don't think Ben would go with them now, medio. I think he'd be happy with Sky now.
Um, Contract's up at the end of the year, from what I'm hearing. So it'll be interesting to see where he goes.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Uh, I want to touch on women's boxing. It's looking like Natasha Jonas now that she's 41 in June, isn't she?
Yeah.
Do you think she might be retired now, to Natasha Terry?
If she's retired, mate, she deserves it. Get her on Sky. Can we replace Anna Woolhouse with Natasha Jonas, please?
Yeah, to present because she's getting a bit repetitive, isn't she, Anna Woolhouse now? Plus, she's not an ex-fighter, is she?
Yeah, I don't know if she knows the she doesn't instinctively know the right questions to
She
ask.
used to go with Barney Francis though, big noise at Sky, didn't she?
Oh, did she?
Yeah, she used to go with him. Yeah, then she went with Jamie Redknapp. So she's obviously a networker, isn't she?
That's one way to put it. Yeah.
Okay. Horsecock says that he rung Chris Eubank Senior, aka English, and said, "Come on, turn up," and that. So he's taking the credit now, isn't he, for it? He always inserts himself into a storyline, doesn't he? Horsecock.
Look,
You're going to laugh there, aren't you, Terry?
I'm trying not to laugh. I think, if I'm being honest, I think they've known Eubank's coming for a long, long time.
We're never going to miss that opportunity on big stage, were we? English.
Well, he's created the big stage.
Mm.
I think I said it in my pod. What we needed was a point of tension. It couldn't just be the dads and the sons, right? Because we've kind of played that hand already. So there had to be the tension where you're like, okay, you've got the Ben family. Look how close they are. Look how united they are. Look at them all together in the pictures, etc., etc. And then you have the Eubank family, which was, who's going to show up for Chris? And they built that tension up perfectly, I thought, mate. And then when Eubank shows up and you get the reunion, you get your resolution, perfect.
Okay. On the whole, though, you were happy with the show, weren't you, Terry? On the whole,
I was delighted with it. I wasn't expecting much. I was delighted with it.
Okay. We'll switch over to Liam Cameron. What next for him? I know you spoke to him this week.
Yeah. 168 is where he wants to build now. One of the interesting things he said was, he's like, in that ring, you realize how big Ben Whittaker is. He's like, yeah, he was just big, solid, hits harder than it looks. And I was like, okay. And Liam was just like, look, really, I'm a career middleweight who ended up at light heavy. Now I want to go back to super mid.
Well, when Liam won ABAs, wasn't he a light middle?
Welter.
Welter, super welter, yeah. Welter, was he?
He's welter.
Well, I think if he could do super mid, he could do middle, couldn't he?
Nah, not his age. Look, we've just said about Eubank, haven't we? That those weight cuts are hard when you get older.
We did it twice for Dennis against Sheedy and Genman.
Yeah, that's what, 7-8 years ago.
Yeah, I know that was a few years ago. Yeah. I understand that. Yeah, but for the right money, though, would Liam go to middle?
No,
you don't think he would?
He can't make middle.
What about the middleweight the super middleweight lot. Do you see Liam doing out at that?
Yeah, easily.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah. Look, at that point, just get him in there with a Reese Cartwright so he can feed his way around, and then let him start building from there.
Well, that fight was offered to him a few years ago. That fight.
Yeah, man, a little bit of a Yorkshire derby.
Mm. Yeah. Okay. Nick Ball. What do you reckon to him, Terry? Because there's only Nick Ball and Dubois in England who've got world title belts.
Oh, listen, fair play. Like, no surprise they're both on Queensbury. So it shows that Uncle Frank knows how to look after you.
Well, I mean, Eddie's not got a British world champion, has he? I mean, that's unheard of, isn't it?
It's the way things are going. We don't have a good enough system at the moment to give us world champions. We don't have good enough coaches at the moment to give us world champions, and we're not getting the right raw materials through the door to give us world champions. We need, as much as most of the reform voters in this country hate the idea of people coming in on boats, I tell you this now: if we can teach some of these Afghan kids that are in this country right now how to fight, if they can learn how to box, it's a wrap. That's what we need to start leaning into. Yeah, lean into the different groups we have in this country, because like those Afghans are hard as nails. I haven't seen, like, what I mean, they come into amateur gyms, Porky,
Yeah.
and the shellacking that they take and just shrug it off. I'm like, oh. Let's get more of those lads in there, man. Let's get some tough kids, some street fighter kids, some kids out of young offenders institutes. Let's get those boys in the gym, and let's make boxing great again.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Do you feel that women's boxing as a whole now is dying on its arse?
It's struggling, yeah, because kind of all the fights that needed to happen have happened, and a lot of these women fighters are becoming too expensive to have on your shows regularly. So the economics of it just don't make sense.
Do you think Terry Harper's gone downhill because she's been fighting on GMB shows, hasn't she?
Listen, she'll be traveling up to HMP Donny soon. Travel up to Armley.
Mhm. Okay.
Yeah, she better
Uh,
be send some tuna.
yeah. Who do you think's the next big star then? Out of all these, these next gen guys, 'Cause we need a new star, don't we? Because we're mainly relying on these mid 30 odd year olds who are really past the sell by date, and we keep going to them, don't we? Your Derricks and Dylans and people like that. Do you think it needs a good shake up now? And you think a lot of them need to piss off?
Yeah, so like a Moses Talma, that'll be good. Vidal Riley. I'd like to see Vidal Riley against Brandon Glanton, actually. That'll be a fight where we can see what level he's at.
Where Vidal's at.
Yeah,
I mean, if
Vidal
he does a
Riley's.
better job on Glanton than Chris Bill and Smith, Riley's really in the mix, isn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'd like to see that. So I think that's good. Other names, Adam Azim, Dalton Smith. Just let that fight happen. Otherwise, we're not going to care about those two.
Yeah, I mean, they keep talking about that, but and Shane McGuigan said it needs building up, but come on, Shane,
We're not trying to hear that. If the fans want to see a fight, the fight should happen. We can quickly move on. Don't worry about that.
Yeah. We'll finish off on this then. The Lazy Rhino against Elmer Fudd, who you got in rematch.
Johnny Fisher.
Johnny Fisher's out there training with Mark Tibbs, Ventura, and Rhino's just being Rhino, isn't he?
Yeah, I think Johnny Fisher will win this one. I just don't think Dave's got the hunger to close the show, which is what you have to do against a Johnny Fisher.
Yeah, yeah, I see where you're coming from with that. I see where you're coming from. I just hope that Dave's fit and that he can do the business, but he don't.
Looks in good shape though. He does look like he's been training.
Yeah, I want to see Rhino with shaved head, clean shaven, and a suit on, and looking like a professional boxer and an athlete. I don't want to see him laid in bed doing YouTube interviews constantly when he should be resting up. See where I'm coming from?
No,
So
you're right, mate. You're right.
somebody's emailed me. Oh, What do you think about the Rhinos comeback? I says, comeback? Comeback from where? Pizza or KFC? You know what I mean? So, but it is what it is. Right, I better get ready. But listen, thanks for coming on, Terry. We've had a good chat, and we've had a good catch up.
Yeah. Give PDF my best regards when you speak to him
I
in two
will,
minutes.
Peter De Freitas. I'm gonna get Peter on now after I've had a cuppa. Yeah. He's battling cancer. He's just waiting for his swab test to come back. But yeah,
Prayers up for Peter De Freitas.
yeah. Thank you very much for that, Terry.
All right, mate. You take care.
You take care. Have a great day.
Bye.
Good mate. Bye. Well, that was Terry Chappendale. Women love him, men want to punch like him. That's about it, really. Better get ready for Peter De Freitas later. So thanks for liking and subscribing and leaving a comment. All right. Well, peace out. And if anybody wants to come on Zoom, I don't know which way it is. I think it's that corner there. That's the email address, porkycorner@mail.com. 9 out of 10 of yous bottle it though, don't you? Well, peace out.